Inspiration for best soybean farming practices for maximum farm income. These are proven real-life application, sustainable techniques that increase yields by 25 to 50% while cutting costs by 20 to 35%. Your soybean farming prosperity begins right now. Welcome dedicated soybean farmers, agricultural entrepreneurs, and visionaries who understand that soybean farming can transcend mere survival to become a genuine engine of prosperity, wealth creation, and agricultural excellence. If you have been trapped in the relentless cycles of planting soybeans season after season, only to harvest disappointing yields that barely cover your seed and input costs, watching helplessly as diseases like Asian soybean rust, sudden death syndrome, or soybean cyst nematode devastate your carefully planted fields, reducing potential yields by 30 to 60%, while you feel powerless to prevent the destruction, struggling with the escalating cost of seed, herbicides, and fertilizers that consume your profits before you even combine a single row, experiencing the frustration of inconsistent stands with gaps and thin spots that reduce your final harvest by 15 to 30% despite your planting efforts, dealing with weed resistance that forces you into increasingly expensive herbicide programs that barely control what you used to be simple weed problems, grappling, grappling with soil degradation from continuous cropping that depletes nutrients and destroys structure year after year, or simply questioning whether soybean farming, this crop that feeds billions and anchors crop relations worldwide, can never or can ever provide the financial security, family prosperity, and agricultural success you need to educate your children, improve living standards, expand operations, build genuine wealth, and create the farming legacy you dream of rather than just surviving season to season on margins so thin that one bad year threatens everything you have built. Then this moment represents the pivotal transformation point in your agricultural journey, where everything changes fundamentally and permanently, where you discover that the path to soybean farming prosperity doesn't require doubling your acreage, purchasing million-dollar equipment you can't afford, or working even harder than you already do at this demanding crop, but rather implementing proven, scientifically validated, farmer-tested, sustainable practices that have revolutionized soybean production across North America, South America, Asia, and other soybean growing regions globally, multiplying yields by 25 to 50% or more, while simultaneously reducing seed costs through proper population management, decreasing fertilizer expenses by 40 to 60% through optimized nitrogen fixation and soil health, slashing herbicide costs by 30 to 50% through integrated weed management and cover cropping, improving disease resistance through variety selection and crop rotation, and cutting overall production costs by 20 to 35%, creating the kind of financial transformation that seems impossible until you witness it unfolding in your own fields, reflecting in your dramatically improved harvest of 60 to 75 bushels per acre instead of mediocre 40 to 50 you have been accepting as optimal, and demonstrated in your bank account, showing profits that fundamentally change your family's economic reality and agricultural future. Today marks the beginning of your comprehensive education in revolutionary soybean farming practices that have transformed millions of struggling farmers across Iowa, Illinois, Brazil, Argentina, India, China, and other major soybean producing regions into thrilling, profitable agricultural entrepreneurs, generating between 25 to 50% higher yields while reducing production costs by 20 to 35%, producing beans with superior protein and oil content, commanding premium prices, extending profitability through value-added processing opportunities, capturing carbon credits and sustainability premiums, and creating the kind of economic transformation that only lifts families out of financial struggle, that not only lift families out of financial struggle, but establishes genuine agricultural prosperity, enabling land expansion, equipment upgrades, children's education through university, retirement security, community leadership, and the financial freedom that follows you to stop merely surviving and start genuinely thriving with soybeans as a cornerstone of your farming operation rather than just a break-even crop in your rotation. We have never dealt with soybean aphids or white mold devastation. I mean, who has never dealt with soybean aphid or white mold devastation? These are battle-tested, proven practices developed through decades of farmer innovation, refined through thousands of on-farm trials across diverse soil types, from heavy clays to sandy loams, climates from humid subtropical to continental, and farming systems from small farming operations to large commercial enterprises, validated through rigorous scientific research, explaining exactly why these methods produce superior results at the psychological and agronomic level, and most importantly, successfully implemented by millions of farmers just like you, who faced same challenges, endured the same frustrations, questions whether soybean farming could ever provide prosperity, but then discovered and implemented the integrated, sustainable approaches that completely revolutionized their results, their finances, their quality of life, and their agricultural futures. The principles you are about to learn represent the culmination of agricultural wisdom, expanding from ancient Asian soybean cultivation dating back over 3,000 years through 20th century breeding that created modern high-yielding varieties to cutting-edge precision agriculture integrating satellite technology with agronomic science incorporating the latest understanding of rhizobium bacteria symbiosis, soil ecology, integrated pest management, and sustainable intensification, backed by billions of dollars in soybean research from public institutions and private industry, and most significantly, the accumulated practical wisdom of successful farmers who have navigated the complete transformation from conventional soybean farming that barely break even to sustainable intensive production that consistently generates between $200 to $400 per acre of net profit. What makes this information so extraordinarily powerful and potentially life-changing if that sustainable intensive soybean farming doesn't is that soybean sustainable intensive farming doesn't require massive capital investment in specialized equipment beyond beyond what most farmers already own. It doesn't demand relocating to regions with better soil or climate, doesn't necessitate advanced formal education or years of additional training, and doesn't force you to completely abandon traditional farming practices and crop rotation you have relied on for generations. Instead, this method builds upon your existing soybean farming knowledge and experience, progressively replacing expensive input-intensive approaches with biological and management solutions, substituting disease-vulnerable practices with integrated prevention strategies, eliminating the herbicide resistance treadmill through diversified weed management, and transforming your relationship with soybean production from fighting against declining yields and rising costs to working with the natural biological systems like nitrogen-fixing bacteria, beneficial soil organisms, crop rotation synergies that want to reduce abundantly that want to reduce abundantly when given optimal conditions. The beautiful reality that millions of soybean farmers worldwide have discovered is that sustainable intensive soybean farming actually becomes easier, more reliable, more profitable, and dramatically more rewarding over time because you are working with soybeans' natural symbiotic nitrogen fixation, eliminating or drastically reducing fertilizer costs because proper variety selection and crop rotation prevents disease buildup, eliminate crisis management because integrated weed management breaks resistance cycles, restoring herbicide effectiveness. Because soil health building creates resilient production systems that perform well across variable weather. And because increasing your yields by 30 to 40% while simultaneously cutting production costs by 20 to 30% creates substantial financial breathing room that transforms soybean farming from constant anxiety about making ends meet into confidence that you are building genuine agricultural wealth. Your soybean farming prosperity journey begins right now. Let's transform your operation from survival mode into thriving, profitable enterprise that anchors your farm's financial success. Next, we are going to look at comprehensive, sustainable soybean farming practices. These are best soybean farming practices for maximum farm income. We are beginning with number 1. Click the link below and watch these comprehensive, sustainable best practices.